I'm Max Sterling, welcome to LARPgasm. This review is one that I just personally want to do for Calimacil. Sometimes they will send me things to review, but these are actually swords that I purchased myself, and I bought them because I love them. I have never seen such a detail in a LARP sword before as I have seen in these weapons, and for that fact, I love them. This character that I play, a rogue, an assassin, I like to play him sort of a theatrical. And for him, like the killing and all that isn't just, I'm doing it for money. It's almost like I'm doing it for vengeance. I'm doing it for a greater power. And so I sort of have this like angelic sort of like theme and sort of like this scale of justice sort of thing going on. And it's really deep, and I'm not even gonna bother trying to explain on here because it might be too complicated for me to even, understand. But the point is, these weapons fit that aesthetic perfectly, and they look so badass. They're amazing. And of course, the weapons I'm talking about are Dark Angel series, and specifically the Dark Angel 2, the Judge of Sinners. Now, you may have seen these swords in some of my videos before, just sort of in passing, but I wanted to take a minute to actually review them. Now, this is technically a bastard sword, but I use them as long swords. And let me tell you something. Calimacil, I love you guys. You make really awesome shit. I mean, no lie. These weapons are fairly heavy. I can't kid you when I say that these are heavy weapons. I like to fancy myself a pretty strong guy, but these are freaking heavy. They weigh maybe like 1.2 pounds each. That's about 555 grams. And it doesn't seem like much to say, but once you have them and you're in prolonged combat, chopping away or trying to, block and parry and stuff, these get heavy fast. I mean, real fast. And if you don't wear gloves, I mean, they're even harder to hold on to. But I've said this before in other videos, that's the price you pay for cool, okay? Because you can use this definitely as a bastard sword. In fact, it's meant to be, a hand and a half or a two-hander in combat. If you used it two-handed, then you would be absolutely fine. But for me, this is a little short for a two-hander. It's actually about 43 inches or like 109 centimeters. Now, in this particular game I play, 44 inches is the maximum for a long sword. So actually, this comes up about an inch short from what I would like it to be. I'd love it for it to be just a little bit bigger. That's what she said. But it's close enough that it works for me. I actually contacted them to see if they could make me some custom ones or switch the blades out and stuff, but they said due to their process and the durability, you can't really do that, which is fine. But I did ask, so in case you were wondering. As far as the blade color, this is actually called steel. It's got a fiberglass core, and of course it's Calimacil foam. The blade length itself is like 32 inches, and then the hilt back to the pommel makes up the rest of that. And the blade's about 2 inches wide and about 3/4 of an inch thick. That's like 2 centimeters thick. So, pretty big weapon, and these blades get wide on the end. Now, as far as passing at a game, when I first bought these, I was kind of concerned that they might not pass because they are Calimacil, which has a tendency to be a little bit harder than other weapons. But for me, I think that's awesome because most games I play are light or lightest touch anyway, so you shouldn't be hacking people down with these. You're just meant to touch. And people are wearing armor, so it shouldn't really hurt them. But if you're playing a moderate or heavy game, you may have to check into these because it might be too much momentum. Because if you hit someone with this full speed, I think you're not going to hurt them, but you would bruise them for sure, and they would probably make a sound. They'd probably squeak or something if you hit them full force. But I think you'd be pretty hard pressed to actually hurt someone with a LARP weapon that is made by a manufacturer. There's a whole story on their website that you can read if you care to. But this is just awesome. The Dark Angel one was pretty cool, but it wasn't as long as this one, and in my opinion didn't look as good, but it looked pretty good, but not as good. And this is a sword that I think would work great for nobles, rogues, assassins, anyone that's like super evil or maybe super good, like a paladin that, you know, is just really like, I'm the judge, juror, and executioner, or if you're playing anything that is like a 4 horsemen themed type of sentiment. But I just wanted to show you up close here because, like I said, these are some of the most detailed weapons I've ever seen. We'll start with the blade. Now this blade you can still get. It's like on a lot of their elven weapons, and you can see that there's quite a bit of detail on just the blade. But look at this hilt, okay? So on this side we have the skull with this whole setup here. You have an hourglass. You have the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, hourglass, scales. But then on the other side, you have a different setup. So you have the angel holding scales, and then you have the other horsemen of the apocalypse. You also have an all-seeing eye here. And then we come down. This is the actual grip of the weapon. And you can see that it is a death-like figure holding a sword. And if we come down even further, we once again have this design. And then we have an angel with wings. And this is the actual pommel of the weapon. And that detail out of foam, to me, is just incredible. And I mean, look at it. There's not really any air bubbles or anything in this. You know, it's nice and clean. I didn't have to sand this or anything. This is just how it came from the factory. I mean, to me, the detail is just amazing. And when I have this just, you know, here in the holder with sort of just this sticking out, I mean, it's incredible. They're easy to draw. And like I said, it's the price you pay for cool. I mean, swinging this about for me is just fantastic. But like I said, fighting two-handed, fighting Florentine, these fuckers are heavy, but worth the weight, worth the price. I actually own 3 of these weapons. I bought 2 because obviously I fight with 2 weapons. And then I bought another one as a backup, and it's actually a custom one with a different colored blade. You know, I bought them out of pocket. So even though this is a free review, it is probably the most positive review I could possibly ever give a company, and only because of the detail in this. No other company that I've seen has this kind of detail. And I don't care if you spend $300 or $400 on a sword. To me, this detail is amazing. If you know a company that has a sword that's more detailed and elaborate than this, I would please like for you to share it in the comments. And I'm not saying it as like a challenge or something. I want to know, because if there's another company out here doing amazing work like this, I want to know so I can buy something from them. Because to me, this whole setup is just incredible. And for me, the type of character that I play, like I said, it fits, and it's so great. And I just wish it was a little bit lighter, but it's just more incentive for me to get into the gym and do some more forearm workouts. But I hope that you can understand where I'm coming from with this. And even though this weapon is so awesome, unfortunately right now, it is discontinued. It's actually in Calimacil's crypt, so you can't buy this. However, the Dark Angel 1 was a very cool weapon. This is a very cool weapon. It would not surprise me if they make a Dark Angel 3 sword. Calimacil, I'm talking to you. Make a Dark Angel 3 and make it awesome. But just please, if you can, make it a little bit lighter. I'm not sure how many of these you sold. I know you sold 3 of them to me, but this right here, to me, this is a standard. I have a lot of Calimacil weapons, but these to me are the most elaborate, the most intricate, and probably my favorite weapons that I own. And I use them all the time. So, I hope you enjoyed this little review, even though it might be a little bit after the fact and you can't buy them anymore, but I still felt as though I wanted to review them because I really do love these. And I wanted to give that big shout out to Calimacil because they really are a fantastic weapons manufacturer. And these swords, man, even though I bought a spare, they're gonna last freaking forever. This stuff is so hard pressed to break a Calimacil weapon. Unless you're hitting metal armor or cinder blocks or cars or something, these are gonna last. Just hitting people, you know, in cloth robes, these are not gonna break down. I have had these for at least a year and have done nothing to them. And they still look the same as the day I pull them out of the box. And to me, that speaks volumes. And you know, I just hope that other people enjoy looking at these and get some of the immersion that I get from just walking around with them, because when I walk around and I have these, I know that nobody is looking at me saying, wow, look at his shitty boffer weapons, because these are not shitty. These are awesome. For high fantasy, I think that if this had a different blade, it would work real well probably for a low fantasy game, maybe even a historical game, but for high fantasy, this stuff is gravy. And this is the type of weapons that everybody should be looking at, because when it comes to high fantasy, I like my high fantasy, you know what I'm saying? Magic items everywhere, dragons out of the woodwork, and just all kinds of cool stuff like this around. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share. And of course, as always, adventure on.